Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope you're all doing well. So welcome back to the ultimate video test, and today I'm checking out the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. Now this is a slightly older model, I know, because the Z Fold 4 is out, but if you do want to save yourself a bit of money and get your hands on Samsung's still awesome foldable technology, then this makes a really sound bet. Now as with all ultimate video tests, I'll leave all the main camera specifications down in the description, and I'll just run through some of the high-level features throughout this video to help save you a bit of time. So starting with the front-facing camera, there's actually two selfie cameras, which I'll explain in a moment. So you've got this one on the outer screen, which is a 10 megapixel fixed focus camera, and this can record video at up to 4K at 60 frames per second. So this is 4K at 30 frames per second, and just so you're aware, you get video stabilization across all 5 lenses, and you also get stereo sound recording as well. Now the front-facing camera has automatic HDR control for video as well as photos, so it's still decent, but you do get those signature blown out highlights from the selfie camera which you see on some other older Samsung handsets. But the actual video quality is still really nice despite the blown out highlights. And as you can see, the video stabilization is really good, keeping me center of the frame and then smoothing out the objects behind me. So if I just tilt the camera towards the sky, you can see that it sorts out its exposure problems. But as I bring it back down to eye level, you can see just around here that it is blowing out those highlights. But I don't think that's a big problem, to be honest, because with a selfie camera, the subject is the main focus. So for comparison then, this is 4K 60 from the selfie camera. Once again, nice smooth video stabilization, but with the benefit of the slightly more lifelike movement that 60 frames per second affords. And if I go for a quick run, you can see that the video stabilization does an excellent job of keeping everything smooth, even if you go for a quick canter. So there's the 10 megapixel selfie camera. Now I hope no one sees me walking down this lane, because I kind of look like your granddad filming at a kid's play in school with the phone unfolded. So this is the inner display 4 megapixel selfie camera. Now I don't suppose you're going to be using the the camera for this kind of application or use case. I think this is more for sort of video calls and things like that. Now Samsung have tried their best to try and hide this camera inside the inner display, and haven't done a very good job, because it's still quite distracting even when you've got like a big white screen in front of you. You can still see the little dot matrix camera up front. But for those who want to use this inner camera for this application, then you can use it. Now it tops out at 1080p at 60 frames per second at max, so you can do 30 frames per second as well, or even go as low as 720p. And because it's only 4 megapixel, the video quality is average at best. But if you do want to use it, then the option is there if you need. Alright, so back on the outer display selfie camera, and this is the portrait video option. Now this maxes out at 1080p at 30 frames per second. But like all other Samsung handsets, the actual video quality is excellent. You get nice stabilization, you get this really cool cutout effect as well, which looks really great. The good thing is when you're doing portrait video, you get a little ready sign lit up in yellow on the screen, which lets you know that the portrait effect is actually working. And as you can see, there's a really good job of adding this bokeh stroke blur effect in the background. Now if I go into a slightly darker area, you can see that there's a really good job of pumping up the exposure on my face at the expense of some slightly blown out highlights in the background. But that's all of the video modes available on the front facing camera. So I'll switch to the rear cameras now and show you what they can do. Alright, so spin around to the rear cameras then. So to make things easier, all of the rear cameras are 12 megapixel cameras. So this is the ultra wide lens. Now when recording at 30 frames per second, you can keep recording and switch the cameras on the go. So there is the ultra wide field of view, wide camera, and then the 2x telephoto lens. So it's 2x optical, but you can go up to 10x digital zoom should you wish. And if you just keep pinching, you'll go all the way back to the ultra wide camera. So let's just show you the video stabilization. You can see the ultra wide camera is blowing out the clouds up ahead there, which I wasn't expecting. We'll go to the main lens, and things are brought much more under control using that. So if I just show you the comparison, you see it's just a little bit of highlight blowout in the clouds, and you can temper that by just tapping, but you lose some of the exposure at the bottom of the screen here. So back this way. So this is the main lens now. And once again, these are all 12 megapixel. And one stop to show you the autofocus. And like all modern Samsung handsets, the autofocus is super good and gets a really smooth, accurate and quick lock on subjects with a nice blurred background. So back over the bridge, just to show the stabilization. And you can see that it does a really decent job of smoothing out footsteps. Let's show you the benefit of the zoom lens then. So 2x zoom. So it's not the longest zoom as you can imagine, but you still get image stabilization with the 2x telephoto, and it also has built-in autofocus just like the main camera. Alright, so this is 4K 60 then. Now unfortunately you can only record with the main lens at 4K 60, so you don't get any use of the ultra wide, and even switching to full HD at 60 still means you can only use the main lens. However, the movement is nice and fluid and realistic, and you don't get any frame drops or stutters when you move the handset around, and you still get image stabilization at 4K 60 as well. So that rounds out the main video modes from the rear cameras on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. As well as the main camera mode, you also get the super stable mode. Now this is available using the ultra wide and the main camera lens. Now this tops out at 1080p at 30 frames per second. And as I've said in all the other videos lately, these features are a little bit redundant now because the stabilization is so good in the main video modes, but you do get a little bit more stabilization on the left right axis, so you don't get as much tiny organic wobble that you get with the normal stabilization mode using the main video selection. And you can switch to the main camera as well, so it's a slightly more cropped in field of view, because what it's doing is using the ultra wide camera and then cropping in a bit heavier, and then uses the information outside of the frame to stabilize the image just that little bit more. So we'll go for a quick run. You can see there that it does do a really good job of stabilizing the image, but it is at the expense of detail, because I have noticed that the video looks noticeably less sharp than even full HD in the standard video mode when using this super stable option. All right, I'm hoping this works because I'm kind of doing this blind. So this is portrait video from the rear camera. Now you get two focal lengths for this. You can use the main camera, which is what I'm using now, or you can use the telephoto camera. So it works very much the same as on the selfie camera, in that you get really nice looking 1080p video with this really cool cutout effect, which isn't too bad, to be perfectly honest. And it's nice to have this option on both the front and rear cameras. Alright, so that's the end then of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 Ultimate video test. You get slightly less options with this than you would with the Samsung Galaxy S21 or S22 series, in that you don't get the 4K 60 recording on the ultra wide or the telephoto cameras. Now I think that's because the actual lenses themselves don't have the readout speed to be able to do that kind of video. You also don't get 8K video. Now whether that's a big loss to you is completely down to your personal circumstances, but I don't think it's that much of a loss, to be honest. It is good, but the chances of you having a display capable of actually outputting 8K video is probably a bit slim. So if you've got any comments or questions, please leave those down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, if you're new here, then please do consider subscribing. Still there's more content coming like this very, very soon. But for now, this has been my ultimate video test for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.